Morning, everybody. How you all doing? I had a viewer say to me the other day. She was like, "Yo, were you talking to somebody else? Were you talking to yourself?" Hey, look, I know we've been doing this for like a little over a year now, but the timing, I've not totally gotten down yet. So please forgive me if it seems like I'm talking to somebody else. Usually, I'm talking to myself, and I'm startled that I'm actually live because it doesn't really do anything. Again, please recall that we've been doing this for damn near 15 years. And there was opening music, there was all this and all that going on. And it gave me an opportunity to, okay, I hear this now, I know. Now it's just your ass is live. And sometimes I hit the go live button and it doesn't go live. So I got to hit it again and so on and so forth. But different story for a different time. Next thing, thank you everybody for the calls, the texts, the instant messages, whatever, what have you. I'm fine, as you can see. I had a minor surgery yesterday. Had to do with the old oinker right here, and just some cleanup on the inside that I needed done so I can breathe a hell of a lot better. If I sound a bit nasally, my apologies. It's one of the side effects from the surgery. I'm trying to keep it all together because I am breathing through my nose and my mouth at certain times because I can't blow from my nose for another 24 to 48 hours. So I'm trying to make sure that I take care of myself. Getting older, and that's more important that you take the old body and get a little tune up wherever you need a little tune up. Next, um, he don't know it, but we're going to call Rodney out today. Uh, Yesterday was a major day for him, huge day for him. I'll clue you in shortly. But I just got off the phone with him, made sure his ass was up. He's up, so he should be coming in pretty soon, and he's going to get called out today. As you go through this thing called life,
Mm.
there are people that you meet, and though you may see them, you may not know them. Though you may get to hang out with them, you still don't know them. Certifiably, Rodney Smith is a national hero. He is certified a national hero. There are a lot of things that we will never know about that man until his passing because of the things that he's done. There's one particular incident that it's clear, not just a physical display, but a display in his disposition that needs to be acknowledged and celebrated more. We got to talk about it a little bit when I was in Vegas was it last week? Yo, my mind is fried right about now. I think it was last week. Last week, that sounds right. But he's going to get emotional. He may go quiet for some time. I will fill in some blanks while he collects himself. This is a very important day. This is a very important day. And I am not going to let it go by easy. So that's that. Next, going back to last week, I did a whirlwind tour over the past couple of weeks. I've been here, there, and here. As some of you know, most of you don't. Not neither here nor there. I got called out because the week previous I looked like I was really tired. Then I started looking at the clips from last week. I was like, damn, I look tired. I wasn't tired. Like I was up. I had gone downstairs. I went and got something to eat. I was good, at least I thought. But for whatever reason, I did not come across with that energy on camera. So I apologize for that. Because good Lord, I was struggling to look at myself looking like I was struggling, but I wasn't even struggling. I was wide awake. The week before, I was probably more tired than I was last week, but it happens. The gang is back together. Rashi's here, so we can start. Can't start without the sister being in the building. Thomas is here for the entirety of the ride. Okay, I see you with your Timberwolves hat on. You trying to show off because the draft was this week. Okay, we'll get into that. We'll get
No,
into
no,
that.
no, 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 no. That's this. Trust me, I am not a Timber Pup fan.
Oh, okay, okay. I thought you were
See,
trying to say a little something. I thought you were
oh
trying to
no,
say a
no,
little
no, no, no,
something.
no, no. But I do like
Okay,
the color. I am biased to blue. You could
okay.
blame Notre Dame. You could blame the Cowboys. And we had a press conference the other day, and because we had the press conference and we were talking about things in Minnesota, I could have rocked this LA hat that I was going to buy or this cowboy hat. And I said, no, I'm talking about Minnesota business. So I'm going to put a Minnesota hat on to let folks know that I'm locked in with the citizenry. And so that's all that is. But I do like the hat, though. The hat does fit good on the chromie.
Oh, the hat's nice. I ain't going front on that. I like the
Yeah.
font and everything. That mug is banging.
Hey, man, I definitely, whoever is designing this new stuff for the Timberwolves, they've come a long way. A long way.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. The NBA draft was this week though. May stick on that. May hit on that just a little bit. Not too much. You know, the game just ain't the same. So I'm not that enthused by it as I once were. However, we are a hell of a lot closer to the NFL season than you would think. Like, goodness gracious, dog. This week coming is July. Like, that shit crazy. Like, crazy. It's July in the middle of this week coming.
Hmm.
So buckle up because it'll be a quick ride to preseason. And then after preseason, the full slate of regular season games. Collegiate football will kick off around the same time. And we'll take that. I'm sorry, I'll remember I'm trying to breathe and talk out of the mouth at the same time, so it takes the breath a little. It may be a little more dramatic pauses going on than normal right now. All of that to say, welcome to Saturday. It is June 27th. It is the week after Juneteenth. It's the week after Father's Day, which many of you mofos didn't celebrate any goddamn how you dirt dogs. Some of them, I ain't gonna say it. I swear for the Lord. It incenses me how small the Father's Day section is in these damn stores. The Father's Day sales is like a little itty bitty thought in the wind. Just all kinds of craziness. But Lord, let it be Mother's Day. Jared got a sale. The car manufacturers got a sale. The flower people got a sale. Everybody in that damn mama got a goddamn sale for Mother's Day.
Hmm.
Father's Day come around, I don't nobody give a shit. Here's a grill cover and a tie. Take your ass outside and play. Like, what the hell going on? Man? How they gonna make you cook on Father's Day on the damn grill? How that make sense? It's just a setup. It's ugly. Not gonna get hooked on that. Not gonna get hooked on that. I promise you, I'm gonna go high because too many others done gone low. Let's do some recaps, y'all. So, um, Carmelo, he has a new legal team for an appeal. He's expanded the legal team, and others have gotten on board to help this young man get his 35-year sentence reduced. He's in Texas. He's black. He's male. There's a lot of strengths against him. A lot of strikes against him. Thomas, what do you say? What do you think?
I think if people go and watch the video, the entire video, I think that this get overturned. I don't know how they were able to go to court with with taking the video and running it through a process to make it grainy. It was a lot of rigging to that video. And how I know is that there were people who viewed the video during the trial who were saying what they're saying in court is not what was on the actual video. The other thing I would say is that Carmelo just didn't have a good defense. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful to his family, but I do have to tell this true is that I think they were in over their head. And I believe they were in over their head because they were initially saying that they didn't want to make it about race when clearly it was about race. They got the attorney that they got when they had enough money to really get a good attorney to make this better than what happened. And I want to say this to people out there that's watching. I was about to say listening, but we ain't on radio no more. So watching.
Them habits die hard, don't they? Them habits die
They
hard.
do. They do. But you have to be careful with the mental gymnastics we play in our head as black people. The idea that there is a situation where a black boy is accused of killing a black boy, a black girl, a white boy, a white girl, a white man, a white woman, a white person's pets is racial in America. And if you allow yourself to play the gymnastics that it isn't, you're probably going to hurt your child. If you have an attorney who is not fighting for black jurors to be on the jury selection, then you are in trouble. If you have a lawyer who does not call up character witnesses for the defendant, if you don't have a lawyer who's even calling up witnesses to counter and rebut the witnesses that the prosecution put on to call into question their character, then you know that you are getting railroaded, and those people are just pocketing that money because they understood they had some suckers.
Rashi, not just from
Wow,
the commentary side,
that's
but
interesting.
from the maternal side.
I don't know.
What do
I
you,
don't know. I don't know if you can call me for this for that because I actually did a little bit of reconnaissance work with this, and um, what we're dealing with is two factions here. On the black side, their parents were uh, blissfully ignorant is the best I could say. They were living, I don't know what the industry the daddy is in, because it's enough money to raise Carmelo and his family without anybody else having to work. Whatever industry his father is in, he is probably one, if not one of three at the very max black people in the entire job. I bet with my life. And so what we found was a family who had became affluent by keeping their heads down and doing exactly what white folks told them to do. So far, that has gained them financial independence, the ability to separate from others, that look like them, uh, a decent district, a decent meaning their education, whatever makes a district decent. The grocery store is clean, the schools can pass, the motherfucking police show up in under 10 minutes. All that good stuff of what they were afforded. And so now they are, I'm white like you. They have assimilated in their man, and we need to discuss this, Lee. When you feel like you in like Flynn, you got Barbara's Tupperware. You go golfing with Ken. You little Kaylee and your daughter Ashley, they spend the night at each other's house, and you're invited to the cook Christmas party at least three families' houses within your community. So you in, right? You're in, up in, but you have, that means the father has adopted all the behavior and physical mannerisms that need to happen in order for there to be no conflict on his job. He said, yes, sir. In order for there to be no problems in his life, he pay whatever he pay his union tithes, whatever it is, right? And so he is able to afford a middle class, lower middle class white man's reality, and but his son hasn't done that yet. And so that's something that all of us end up figuring out. When Brother Barry, even you was saying the other day that your son has done some shit that you ain't done. You haven't fathomed it, right? In fact, I don't think anybody on this panel has a
That's true, Barashi. My kids know that, and their friends know, white, black, and indifferent, I am probably the blackest person they go run across.
right. That's
So,
what
so,
you set up for
so,
you.
right.
But
But
your
hold on.
son has not doubled
But,
behind you in your
but,
vein.
but,
So
but it's still different when you have parents. Because here's the truth: Carmelo did what a black man is supposed to do. He protected himself. This ain't about the son. This is about the parents. And when I see parents who are saying that this is not about race, I don't want to make it about the kid, because the truth of the matter is people are free to do what they're supposed to do. But as a parent, it's your job to protect your kid. And one of the things that, and I'm not trying to like dog these people out, but this is a true American issue. And I live in Minnesota where this is commonplace, where Black people also have the illusion of inclusion. And I think the son understood who he was up against. I really do. I think when he said, "Hey, don't put your hands on me," I think
Exactly.
he understood exactly who he was up against and what the
Yes.
situation was. Carmelo was the one person throughout this entire situation, either his parents and the defense team, who was aware of what the situation was. Everybody else was like the three blind mice. And I really hate that for that young man, because this is the one of the things that I agree with the pastor who I posted the other day, where he said the kids understand what they're up against. They understand that George Zimmerman got away with killing Trayvon Martin and called it standing your ground. But then when you have a situation with Carmelo and he goes to jail, well, what ground do they have to stand on? And then again, what are these adults doing to make it happen? And I'll ask this question again because somebody called out the pride of people in Minnesota, and they said, "Hey, this is the pride that we got in the South." And my question again, in Minnesota, if this would have happened, I'm telling you, people would have been on the streets raising hell. I don't know what the hell they're doing in the South. And I want to keep on saying this again because everybody keep telling us about how blissful and how everything is going in the South, and all of this shit is things in the past. But what we've been seeing consistently over the past for quite some time is that outside of booty shake and vacation, and I'm just being straight, I'm being real. Out
No,
of
you
booty
good.
shake and vacation,
Yep.
there's nothing revolutionary happening in the South. And we got to stop lying to ourselves, like going back, getting that melanin in the sun and being able to do all of that stuff, like they somehow revolutionary. No, niggas is down there living like church mouses. They are trying not to make these white folks mad.
Look, hey, look, I
Well,
saw.
they are waking up hung though. I mean, you know what I'm saying? You can wake up hung if you don't, if you make them mad. We just had a recent lynching, but I actually, fellas, and I
Hold
don't
on
mean to
now.
knock you. I never
Hold
finished
on.
my.
Be easy with that one. So right now, the coroner's report. I know it's the city, but still, the coroner's report includes all of her personal belongings, and it looks more like a suicide. I know the family is pushing for a independent autopsy, so let's keep it like
Okay,
that
all right.
until we
I didn't
until
think
we.
anybody saw a kicked over chair. Nobody saw. So I'm saying if you're getting lynched, she ain't even the last one. I'm saying even if we ignore her, there have been other lynchings.
It's
Where
not
where
about ignoring Rashi. It's not about ignoring her. It's about making sure before we speak that we speak with facts. It's not about ignoring her. It's just making sure when we speak with facts. Because again, remember, as we've all said, people watch us so they can get the actual factuals. Let's make sure we have the actual factuals before we start pontificating about stuff that we're not 100% sure of. That's all I'm cautioning
all
you.
right, guess what that statement you just said is exactly what Anthony's daddy said. Literally in the interview, he said what they told him and why he was able to sit there and wait on an all white council to get his son out of the hot seat is because he wanted to wait on all the facts. He wanted to not speak out. He wanted to be silent in the moment so that nobody thought he was being uh, uh, revolutionary like we thought of with the Martins family and what we thought of with Mike Brown's mama. And so this what you just said is the issue. You sit there silently and you wait on people who have already planned your demise to come out with the answers to help you make facts and truth. And the truth of the matter is so much energy gets put on never finding the truth. It just puts us at a stalemate. But that's not even what I was trying to talk about. I was
Mm,
trying to finish my statement from earlier when I was saying that when you adopt a way of life as an adult, and even though you could even teach it as part of your household mantra, your children don't necessarily adopt it that way. And the information that they getting on the streets may not be what you getting on the streets. And so what happened was is that the group of men, the white men that Carmelo's daddy cohort with, have already decided they want to be covert or they want to be silent racist, or they're doing it, if they are hate filled racists, they're doing it some other way. And so Carmelo Anthony's father is able to be a certain type of black dude, saying be quiet, wait on the facts, chill, wait on the whole thing to play itself out, because you can't, if you start making trouble, it ain't focused on your son's innocence anymore. It's on you causing trouble, what they call trouble. Okay, so just know that what we're seeing is the interface between the white group of cohorts that his daddy worked with and benefit from, and then their children, that other cohort of children who are just now new into their racism. They're new into their idea of how to orchestrate uh, racism, white pathology, because remember, you ain't born into it. You have to be taught how to use it correctly. And so what we looked at is that, and then this is definitely true based on the behavior of the other dude's father. The white father, Mr. Metcalf, is insidious with his not covert. He has overt and quite insidious classist, racist, and anti-ethnic ideology. And so what we found was that even the white dude, his son, was not quite as bad as the father. So neither one of these boys was quite tuned in to what their father was doing. The white father is out of the home, very, very verbal with his anti-black rhetoric, anti-this rhetoric, and but still not having the one hand on his son because he wasn't in the home. If you're not in the home, you got some fingers on your child, but you don't have a whole hand. It's impossible. The black dude,
But it
however,
sound, but Rashi, that boy,
hmm
those boys were suspended for bullying,
yeah,
and it sounded like they were racist.
they
So
were
so no, they had their daddy DNA in them. That they no they had their daddy
right,
DNA in them, and they were definitely influenced by their father.
working with it,
I
right,
think the
working
difference
with
is,
it,
and this is the truth, but this is the truth in America. Black children, when they go to suburban public schools, they're subjected to racism at unfathomable levels. Black parents, because they're comfortable and they look at that location as a sign of success, they ignore that pain, typically. Now, in my case, I was able to be in one of those close outer shell suburban spots where there's a lot of black people out here. Matter of fact, per capita, there's more black folks in Brooklyn Park and Brooklyn Center than the rest of Minneapolis and St. Paul per capita. But the issue still doesn't mean that kids do not fall into that utopia space. I got a household where all they heard was things about racism and oppression and etc. And then they go out in this world and they see all their friends and they're not hearing that conversation. And so when they come home, it's almost like they got that grumpy old dad. Matter of fact, that's kind of the joke in the family chat, that I'm always waiting for something to happen. But the truth of the matter is, I just know the reality of being that kid, being bussed out to a school away from the people that I grew up around in my neighborhood in South Bend. I went to the school that was in a predominant white area on the border of Michigan. And I know how those white folks was treating us at those schools. And so I can understand Carmelo and his thing. And one other thing I do want to point out, even with all that being said, they had a paid attorney, and that attorney did not do his job. Because we can go through Carmelo, we can go through the father, but the attorney was paid to do a job that the attorney did not do.
right.
And I feel like
And see, that's what his
that's the
interview is
biggest
about.
reasons why these other attorneys are stepping in and they are trying to step up because that attorney, and I'll say this again, in white supremacy, a lot of times we put the onus, but a lot of times with white supremacy, we put the onus on black folk. That attorney had a duty. That attorney got paid handsomely for his duty. That attorney refused to do his job. And I feel like And this is what I've heard not only from black attorneys, but other able minded white attorneys who said his defense strategy made no sense.
But that's it, brother Barry. They were they wasn't supposed to make no sense. He was advised to get people who don't make sense. In fact, if he would have hired Benjamin Crump, his ass would have been fired. He went and hired the attorney that was okay for him to keep his. What do any? Now I'm finna do some more deep dive. I'm trying to figure out what he do, because whatever his father do, his attorney came with his cohort of people within his job. Like he asked Bob. He asked Bob, the dude who worked with him or something. He talked to the people who got him in that greased out spot where he was able to have a wife that don't work. And so, okay, so once you join up with a cohort of white people who kind of float you, meaning they tell you where to get a house where they not gonna deny you a loan. They call their brother in the bank and let them know that they got a good one for I got a good one for you, stuff like that. And so once you get into that cohort, it's get out. It's a whole get out motherfucking cohort. They tell you which hospital to go to. They don't got but two doctors that look like you. They tell you which grocery store is better, the one in there that you end up shopping at Whole Foods all goddamn day. They reroute you. If you get in, they show you their reality. And so he got the lawyer that his cohort would have called. And if he would have called Benjamin Crump or any fucking body else for this, he may have won the case, but he would have been done on his job. He had to he would have been ostracized out of his community. His children would no Ashley not coming back over. And he can forget the fucking Christmas party for life. So it's not just there was more to him hiring that lawyer than looking the lawyer's last name was A and he started in the yellow book. You understand? Somebody told him. Somebody told him because that lawyer had did what they supposed to do for them, a white family. And he said, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm in with them and I'm gonna get in with them fully. And that's the other problem is the lawyers, this town is so small, them lawyers kick it together and have drinks. Mr. Metcalf's lawyer and Mr. Anthony's lawyer was sitting somewhere drinking about how funny this case was. You understand? That's the problem. If you stay within the local area with your legal representation, but you're an implant because of your income, then no, you're not. You have to go back to where they represent naggers, even if it is a white man, like the Metcalfs do. You go to people who represent white folks, even if it is a black man, right?
I I think this case, because of locale, because of connectivity, I agree with you, Rashi. I agree with you, Thomas. Was one that had a whole lot of trappings in it, and unfortunately, for whatever their reasons, the family fell into the trap. And I agree with you, Rashi. I think that there should have been, if not external counsel, additional counsel, could have been in Texas, could have still been in the state of Texas, but would have had a less local attachment to it, and maybe would have produced a better result for the young man, his family. I know the other family feels vindicated, but I don't know if this should have gotten as far as it had, and if it did, even if it did, should the young man have gotten 35 years for what had happened?
Hey,
Um,
Lee, can I
yes, sir.
add in two things? I need to correct myself. In
Sure.
Mississippi, around the shooting of the 1-year-old boy, the black folks there ain't playing. They are not
You're right.
playing.
They had that. They
So,
protested in the streets like a mofo.
so let me correct myself because that is the way it's supposed to happen, and you are supposed to. So I want to correct myself, my folks in the SIP, because I love Mississippi. I love Mississippi people. I just love Mississippi. I miss my time there in Hattiesburg. With that being said, I do also want to say that the ironic thing about all of this is that this is a stand your ground state. And I did not hear that covered enough in this trial. I did not hear that said enough in the defense that since this is a stand your ground state, there was a level of protections that Carmelo was afforded in the stand your ground state. And I just didn't hear that being quoted enough.
So we discussed that a couple weeks ago. And the premises behind that is if you feel threatened, what the prosecution did was quickly establish, and I agree with you, Thomas, the defense did not do a good enough job of this. The prosecution quickly established, and it was allowed to stay uh, basically unchallenged from my understanding of the case, that Carmelo was the aggressor. And once
Mhm.
you identify the aggressor, you no longer have protections under standing ground. So I think the defense did a piss poor job in calling counter witnesses to get that out of the jury's taste buds and minds, not being inclusive of information that I've seen, heard, that he was actually invited into the tent by a white guy, and it escalated from there. For whatever reason, he was challenged while he was there. Yeah, yeah. The white guy that was with him faded to black. Like no one knows who this dude is. Like, okay, whatever. But again, I want to continue to follow the story, just like the story of the sister that was found hanging from the tree, and we will continue to report on both until we come to the bottom of it, so that we can get the information out to the people and let them make their decision on what they should do for themselves and their families. Rodney, you got any comments on the Carmelo Anthony case?
No, it's another tragic case of white supremacy rule.
All right, well, I guess that wraps that up, right?
Because,
All right,
I mean, eventually he was there for a reason, right? He was there
right.
too. He was invited. And he was, and so um, when you start looking at people who invite you somewhere, and this is the lesson, by the way, because everything has an applicable lesson, right, brothers? Who, who invited you? Who invited you where? Who invited you where? Why? Who invited you where? Why?
Mhm.
When? You understand? Oh, I'm invited.
Well, I
Yeah.
do want. Well, I do want to point out though the fact that there was video evidence that were suppressed, and I feel like that's the biggest thing too is the suppression of that video. The fact that the jury did not have a chance to view the entire video. That also speaks to the attorney, the lawyer, as well as the judge working in concert to not give that young man a fair trial. Because in any other instance, if you have evidence, you present the evidence so people can make the correct decision in how they're, leaning on the jury. And to have this video come out weeks after the verdict, and we're all consuming the video, and you could see everything that the witnesses were saying on the stand was a lie. I think that's problematic.
All right, so Rodney, relax. You ain't got to type no more. We're going to pivot. So this is the point in the show where I get to embarrass the hell out of you.
Oh no, hold on, hold on. He said, "Don't go to sleepovers with your white girlfriends." And done, brother Rodney.
30 years ago, last night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 10 p.m. AST time, a tanker truck filled with explosives was driven to Building 131, which was the primary dormitory of U.S. Airmen personnel stationed at Kobar Towers. Shortly thereafter, the driver and passenger were seen fleeing in a getaway vehicle. As they fled, the explosives detonated. leaving a 85-foot wide crater, destroying the northern facade of the complex, killing 19 U.S. service members. 500 plus individuals were hurt in this bombing. 498 were U.S. airmen. Staff Sergeant Alfredo R. Guerrero is credited with seeing the truck and running floor to floor before the explosion to evacuate as many people as he possibly could. One of the survivors of this explosion is Rodney Smith. Rodney Smith was gravely injured during this attack. Even though he was gravely injured, he managed to keep himself together under control through the pain, the hurt, the whole nine, to get others to safety. One of the things that I said to him, there's a whole video about this. The music was too damn loud, so you really can't hear it. There are men. I said this last week, Friday, which was Father's Day. No, the Friday before Father's Day, last week, Sunday. There are men, well, this week, Sunday, I'm sorry, celebrating Father's Day this week because of Rodney Smith. There are men whom are alive today with their families, with their progeny, that are here because of Rodney Smith. I was blessed to run into Smitty at Kunsan Air Force Base, South Korea, in July of '97. So I was roughly 1 year, 1 month after this horrific attack on our personnel. He still had a hitch, but he was determined to get around. That brother was cut. He was thin, he was cut. He had a book in hand at almost every damn corner and turn, and he always had a word of wisdom. Many miles were you from Supply, North Carolina, sir. Many miles were you from Do or Die Bed-Stuy. But those lessons from the fields to the streets helped you in that moment. And I want to thank you now as I thanked you then. The title of today's show is Everyday Heroes, and you never know who you're talking to and what their story is. This is a story of an everyday American hero. This man literally sacrificed blood, skin, and more for this country. And if you hear him tell it, he ready to do it again today, if need be. He would pick up that uniform, slap it back on, and go right back to work. He older now, so I don't know what the hell he talking about. This shit, my ass took over that shit, but there it is. Salute to you, my brother. I appreciate you. I will always honor you, and I'm grateful for you. Sorry, because I'm getting nasally. That ain't tears. That's nasal congestion right now.
Mm-hmm. That's what they always say. It's an onion he's cutting.
You got anything to say, Smitty?
Lee, I appreciate you. I appreciate you doing the show and recognizing me. But what I would like to do is recognize those 18 people that didn't make it back. Because those are 18 people who were removed from society, just like the 13 people for this crazy, totally unnecessary war that we're having now with Iran. And this is a special shout out to them and their families because they're gone, but their families are still here. And for the ones who knew them and survived, like I knew some of the ones that I survived and they didn't, it was always like, why, why wasn't I taken along with them? So I know there's a lot of folks saying the same thing. But I can tell you that for those who came back and were in recovery, for those who had a somewhat or successful recovery, it was probably had a whole lot to do with their family and friends, as well as the medical staff. But beyond the medical staff, which is a portion of their job, it's their family and friends who got them through. Those are the ones who came and sat with the spouses when the spouses finally got a break from taking care of them. Even to the children. My children were small. My oldest daughter was old enough to have full, pretty good cognizance of what had happened. My son, the youngest, who's serving now, 11 years in, uh, if I'm not mistaken from the stories they told me, he's the one that came running, yelling that that's where his daddy was when it was finally broadcast on the news, which was sometime afterwards. But I want to give a special shout out to the families of the people who survived Kobar, especially to the families of the people of the 13 who died in this senseless war with Iran, but with the hundreds of even this conflict so far that have come back home different than they left. It's the families that have to see you in a way that they never thought they would see you. They're the ones who, in many cases, have to look at the wounds and change the bandages, or tell you that, hey, you're leaking, you need to get another bandage, or you fall and you have to go back to the hospital, or to help get you out of bed, to help put you in the bed, because I couldn't move my limbs, my legs. I had to lay in the bed at an odd shape, so my back was flat, but then again, my my knee was up in the air, and then my other portion of my leg, the lower portion, was bent this way, so it looked like a zigzag puzzle, and somebody had to prop the pillows up. And I always tell the story is that it's so you get to learn all the cracks in your ceiling when you're in a situation like that, because that's what you get to see. Or when you're in the airport and you get a chance to experience what it's like to be lower than everyone else because you're in a wheelchair, and how people treat people who are lower than them, and it's not pretty. Uh, I tell the story of how when my legs were propped up because I couldn't control them. One time I don't know what I moved, I don't know what happened, but they weren't perfectly balanced on the pillows, and I could watch them slide, but I couldn't do anything about it. And as they slid, I was on the edge of the bed, so when my legs slid, your legs are heavy, right? So when my legs went, so did I. Tumbled out the bed, couldn't stop myself. And then it was my children who came to help me up, but they had to see that though. And a lot of children are seeing things that children shouldn't have to see in their parent. You know, I'm just sharing some of these things, and that's the reason why when I'm in the streets, I often have the purple hard hat on. It's not for me because I'm doing. I'm not 100%, but I'm doing. But it's to remind this nation that we have a responsibility, especially those of us who vote, to pick leaders that we can entrust with our greatest treasure, which is our loved ones. And oftentimes it's our children, our progeny, that they won't send them to wars that we don't need to be in. And that when they come home, they will get the care that they need to get instead of losing benefits as we currently are under this administration, as we are in a war, an unnecessary war in this administration. It's our duty as citizens to ensure that we elect people so that we don't send our sons and daughters, our moms and dads, sisters and brothers, aunts and uncles in harm's way unnecessarily. Lee, you often mention some of the things that I've participated in since then. And so, what I did the other night with my some folks was when they mentioned some of those things, what I did was I sort of transposed that to the 18 people who didn't make it back. And what would they have done? How many other people might have been helped if their lives hadn't been snuffed out? To the 13 people recently that's been removed from society, what differences would they have made that would have helped other people? To the to our people who listen and say, well, they volunteered for it. The spouses didn't volunteer for it. The children, they didn't volunteer for it. They supported the member, but they didn't volunteer for it. But if we have the human capacity of compassion, regardless of whether they volunteered for it or not, what they did not volunteer for was for abuses of power to put them in harm's way unnecessarily. Not one military member volunteered for that. I can tell you some missions I went on. I went on those missions because I could count on the leadership that they would ensure that I got back on the ones where I was expected to come back. And that's not what we have today. And that's our fault. And there's people dying in service today. There's people getting hurt. There's other people in general because we're not doing our part in selecting the right person to make that life and death decision. So, yes, I'm going to continue wearing my Purple Heart hat to remind us all of our responsibility to ensure that we elect people who take America's greatest treasure like it's theirs, like it's their $1 trillion versus somebody else's child. I'm going to continue wearing it to remind us that there's people who come back that never fully recover. I'm going to continue wearing it to remind us all that there are family members who changed because of seeing their loved one in a situation that you should never see a loved one. So I appreciate you for giving us some time to recognize that. But I was thinking about most people have no idea of what happened. And most people have no idea about the bombing in Beirut. They just don't because we don't ensure that those things last. And so through you, you make sure people know. And I appreciate that about you, brother, because the military member cannot do it by themselves. They need help. There's families who are supposed to get money that this administration is wiping out the source of that money by getting rid of the sanctions on Iran.
Mm.
There's just so much more to this sometimes than seeing the flag draped caskets or seeing the people in the wheelchairs or with prosthetics. There's lives that were impacted and that were changed.
Mm.
People had to give up their jobs to take care of that family member because they needed 24/7 attention. I lost my memory. I couldn't even tell you my own address. When I went out, I had to carry cards that said what my name was, my address, my phone number, points of contact, where I was going, what I was supposed to do when I got there. I had a TikTok from my life because I had no memory of most of it. I'm thankful to have at least some of it back. And some people say, well, how much did you get it all back? And I said, I don't know how much I lost. I just know I have what I have.
Mm.
And I have my friends like Lee. That's a good brother right there. When they talk about military buddies, it's a picture of Lee next to the definition. And so I appreciate Lee for highlighting this, not for me, but for all the other people who are like me, for the ones who were worse, and for the ones who they just had a flag draped casket and we never know their faces. So big shout out to you, brother. And thank you guys on on the show for giving me time.
You deserved it, man. I mean,
It's good.
again, you're talking about everyday hero walking around, and for all that served, you always run into these wannabes, woulda, coulda, shouldas. You know, I was thinking about I was gonna, and whatever. For those of us who did, who've done, who were, let's not let our stories be faded or diluted because of the woulda, coulda, shoulda bees, the wannabes, if you will, um, and just these shit. Man. But it'll be 30 years for us next year, you know. And looking at you, the guidance you've given me, the mentorship you provided me over these 29 years is unapproachable. You know what I mean? And I just wanted to make sure you had an opportunity to let folks know what it really is, as Rashi may say in her Kansas City vernacular.
What it really do. But look, look,
That's
look. Please, Brother Rodney, thank you. Because see, it's not a military person. It's a military family. It is not a military person. Okay? We talking a military family. I'm not just talking about the ones that they sign up for when they in there that's in the housing or whatever. When you a military person, your mama and your daddy, if they're alive, are worried about every conflict they send you to. Your special friend, wife, husband, whatever, they worried about whether or not you come, long you gonna be gone, and your state of mind when you return. It's not a military person. It's a military family. Please always keep that in mind when you like, yeah, we going to war. Okay, well, you're not sending a person. You are sending a household to war. Okay, and until we figure that out, right, Brother Rodney, until we understand that we're not sacrificing just 18 to 30 something year old men into a sausage making war machine, we turning a whole family out who's gonna have to figure out, and not to be hard, I mean, not to be crass, as they say, the money. Hey, that money we end up paying out for the frivolity of all those deaths. It's not, that's for life. That family, and that family gets paid for life, not just Social Security, but the military owe down like Pookie to them families, and so they have to pay for that, and then sometime not just till the children get 18, they got to pay the GI Bill thing for on the house and the kids is college education so when you playing these games with people's lives, you end up paying triple, not just for their demise, which is, I'm so sorry for those that we have already marched to death like that, but hey, I ain't trying to be white and funny acting. That's a lot of money that go down when a soldier fall. You hear me? Especially if he got kids, don't let him be a breeder. It's on like Donkey Kong. Come on, man. Come on, Brother Rodney. And you got to send six of his little kids to college. And then you got to buy a house that can sustain six children. You understand? And some of that come out of the government's dime. Am I wrong, or tell me I'm wrong, bro?
No, you are right. There are some benefits that come with it, but there is a huge medical cost that's associated with it. I'm still getting medical treatment from then, and probably will continue to get medical treatment until I'm no longer here. And then the psychological cost of this, family members needing counseling, um, you know, even active duty members needing grief counseling. One of the hardest things as a survivor was not the physical injury, but it's the psychological injury. You know,
Mm.
some of those people I just got through talking to. Heck, if I just got promoted that night. My commander had just given me my next set of stripes. Had he been there a little longer with me, who knows whether he would have survived or not. When you're talking about opportunities that separate life and death or injury and survival, you just never know. And
Yeah.
for
They
me,
called nadir moments, Brother Rodney. Nadir moments.
and I just want everybody to know I was actually in the process of retiring, and my commander called me while I was in the process of retiring with paperwork in hand, and called me to his office to use his authority as a wartime commander to give me an option of continuing to retire, where he uses his authority to cancel that retirement, or to voluntarily extend for the deployment.
Mm.
So that's I went from having a job lined up and being a civilian on a Thursday to on a Sunday being on an airplane, heading to the desert, going across the pond. So our lives, we don't control our lives. Other people control our lives, and that decision changed changed the trajectory of my life, the trajectory of my family's lives, and some people associated with me since then. Well, that's happening to who knows how many people now with the conflict that we're in, because they don't have enough people. The reason why they raised the age to 42, 42, that's most people would be retired by the
Mm.
time they got 42. But they raised the age to 42 because we don't have enough people wanting to volunteer.
It's going to go higher.
Mm. Mm.
It's going to
But
go higher.
but this is my why. Okay, I'm confused because I learned something last week, but then what you just said is contradictory to what I just learned. We looked at last week enlistment, right, brother Lee, and we looked at that there is no vein of the military that it has not fulfilled its recruitment. Some of them have bursted their coffers, as they say, and now y'all telling me that we so desperate that we doing weird shit with the recruitment eligibility thing. So which one is it? Is
No,
it
both are true. So they had to raise the age to meet the quota. So my point being, it's going to go higher as we continue to lose jobs. More folks are going to be looking for work. The work is going to be a government job. Now, you may not be a GS worker, but you will be a military employee. Yes, yeah. Marlon just said the same thing. They are meeting quota because people need income. You're absolutely right, and it's going to get older and older. It won't get to 50, but it'll probably cap at 45.
Well, think about this. Even to be a recruit for the Army nowadays, which is not known for having the highest recruitment standards, but only about, well, 10 years ago, it was 29% of eligible young people between the ages of 18 to, I believe it was 18 to 25, were eligible for the Army. That was, I believe, roughly 10 years ago. I looked at it, I think, a couple of weeks ago, and I was involved in recruiting for the Army as a civilian, believe it or not. But I looked at it a couple of weeks ago, and it went from 29% roughly 10 years ago to about 24% today. 24% of eligible recruits, or traditionally what was eligible recruits, only 24% of them are eligible for service in the Army. That tells us that right there, the pool of people that we had to pull from has diminished dramatically. So they had a choice: either raise the age or continue to suffer shortages. And let's not be fooled about these numbers either. These numbers are numbers that are put forth to make it look like things are going well. Things are not going well in the military with recruitment numbers. That's why there's so many shortages and so many vacancies right now, is because they simply don't have the numbers they need. Now the numbers that they need is one thing, but the numbers that they actually need, that's a different thing.
So two things. I'm gonna read a comment. So give me a second for it to breathe. I wanted to finish our conversation before I still really got into what you said, because what you said was the commenter are very, very much on point. You're right, and it's a continuance of a problem that existed when we were in. It's not necessarily a coming in thing; it's a keeping in thing. So what you have is a whole lot of people at the bottom, some people at the top. You're missing the middle. You're missing those folks that hit E5, E6, E7. You're missing those folks. Well, more E5, E6, E7. Because unfortunately, it's somewhere along the line they start to sour. Either you threw them somewhere and you forgot about them because you threw them to fucking Maelstrom Air Force Base, or you sent them all the way over to bumfuck Egypt, stuck them there for 4 or 5 years, and they're like, "Yo, I didn't come in the military to be stuck somewhere for 4 or 5 years. Where's the rotation?" Or you gave them a bullshit job that they were excited about when they came in, but 2, 3 years into it, they realized this is not marketable when I get out, and I'm going to have to get out at some point. But you're not letting them go anywhere. You're telling them, "Nope, that's closed. This is closed. This is closed," because we're critical mass, so we need you here. Whatever here is. Most of the young kids that come in, Air Force specifically, I'll speak to, they're going to be railroaded to security forces, security police, whatever the hell you want to call it. Why? Because there's always a need for that. They eat their young. Again, these are the cats you send to Cannon Air Force Base, you send to Maelstrom, you send to Whiteman, Missouri, you send to just why not mine not? Because it's freezing. It's freezing. Freezing is the reason it's freezing every season. You send them to Elmendorf in Alaska, wherever you send them, and they're just out there counting fucking rivets on planes because that's their job. You need somebody to do that job. But these kids are more tech savvy. They want their hands on stuff, so on and so forth. So they do. They start getting their hands on shit. They start tinkering with the aircraft, so on and so forth. So they get kicked out because they're playing with the damn planes. Uh, so this is that's the problem. That's the issue that you have. Yes, they meet their recruiting goals, but they can't keep their retention goals. There were two posts that hit yesterday: the publication of the staff sergeant list in the Air Force and the publication of the tech sergeant list in the Air Force. There was X amount of people eligible, and still the percentage, while higher than it has been in the past, was still less than 30%. Like, how is that happening? The Air Force is remains one of the toughest services to get promoted in. They need to look at that. We need to really take a deep dive and see what it is that we want from our airmen. Everyone does not sit down and take a written test well. They just don't. And why is that weighed so much more heavily against what they actually do day in and day out? Who gives a fuck about um, the first Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force? Really? Seriously? How is that really relevant to your everyday life? How does LeMay change how you view your job, your responsibilities? How does any of those cats affect how you talk to people, how you conduct yourself, how you want to run your shop, how you want your shop to be presented, so on and so forth? It's ridiculousness. Now, the comment. So, one of our valued and most ardent viewers says, "Well, I'm a bitter veteran. When I hear thank you for your service, it goes in one ear and out the other. As long as 22-year veterans are committing, I'm sorry, as long as 22 veterans are committing suicide per day, and as long as there's still veterans sleeping hard on the streets, I said what I said." And you are absolutely right, bro. What you have is a disconnect between the services available to veterans and the veterans. What you also have are the head on problems that America does not want to face. Rodney said it earlier. Rodney said something about the physical scars and the emotional scars. Some of us are never going to be right because of our service. We will never be right. That's not true. Most of us will never be right because of our service. We are all tainted in some form or fashion. The vast majority of us will condition ourselves to be acceptable in society, but we still have veteran thoughts. And you know what the fuck I'm talking about. So there are the other ones whom can things. The things that they were charged with taking care of, no 18, 19, 20 year old should have had that type of responsibility. But they were charged to take care of those things. So they will never come back to be social. So they've done things like soothe their pain with alcohol, soothe their pain with drugs. And because of that, they are no longer acceptable in the programs that the government has set up to help them. Some of them will never get treatment. Some of them will seek treatment. They'll slip in, slip out of doing better. Some of them just don't want it. They are fine with being how they are. Unfortunately, these are the other scars of military service. It doesn't have to be war, it could just be military service, to be real. You know, you all do not understand the shit that we go through. And again, I'm telling you, as a 17, 18, 19, 20 year old person, when you go to a place and you may be two people deep in a shop, that's it. A shop is where you work at. You may be two people deep, but what you work on is worth millions or billions, millions or billions of dollars. What you work on may be ultra freaking top secret. And you literally cannot talk about none of that shit. You sign a little piece of paper. You cannot discuss this for 50 years. Now, here's the thing. They slide back to you another 2, 3 years. Oh, we're gonna tack another 30 onto it. Motherfucker, you gonna be dead by then. You know what I'm saying? You know, but they know what they're doing, right? So here you go, walking around with this information, whatever it is that you have in your head, and people are coming up to you, hey man, what do you do? Oh, I just do this. Or you don't talk about it at all. You because you can. You know, what did you do in the military? No, basically nothing. Just woke up, went to work, went on. What the fuck is that? Nothing. Why? Because you can't say nothing. Because you don't know who's trying to get you into saying something so they can throw your ass in prison for the rest of your life, and or you don't know who's just being genuinely concerned and or nosy. You can't take that chance because you could be in prison for the rest of your damn life. Because they're gonna remind you about Leavenworth every chance they get. Trust me, that is numero uno. Every chance they get, they're gonna remind you of that shit. So it is. It's crazy out here. It's crazy out here in the field, and it's real. And you know, it takes a special type of person to do that job. It takes a special type of person to hold their composure when under fire. It takes a special type of person to stand up and put up with all the crap that we have to go through. Rodney, again, man, I salute you, bro. You kept it together even when you literally were not together. I'm sorry, y'all. The nasal drip is real. Literally when you were not together. But as I said earlier, as I said last week, I'll say it again now. There are people who are alive and breathing because of your steadfastness in the midst of all that chaos. And I just wanted to make sure that folks knew who you were and what you've done because it ain't easy. Go ahead, Thomas.
this mic.
I couldn't hear you.
We can hear you, Thomas. Oh, now we can't. It
Mic.
wasn't. There it is.
There
It's
you
on.
go.
It's
You
on.
good. You good.
I think I got it now.
Ah, it's turning itself
Yeah.
off.
Yeah, you keep going back and forth off mute. I don't know what that's about.
It's something about the trigger of his.
You good now. You good. Talk. No, no,
Yeah,
you went back on mute.
it's doing that itself. You should go out and come back in, Thomas, and see
Yeah,
what
you may
that
have to
does.
log out and come back in.
Okay.
Rashi, give him an opportunity. Go ahead, you start. If he comes in, just let him go. You got anything to say,
Well,
Rashi?
I'm actually listening to you, and I'm telling you to don't suck in as much. Your septum is healing, and you need to not put that back pressure on there. If anything, you need to be looking up high in the sky and letting that post nasal drip come down. But be careful about doing all that suction because you could rupture some of the damage. Okay, be careful, Lee. Do you have some nasal stuff you can put in there, like a saline?
I will get to that after the show. I just wanted to get through this first,
All
and
right,
then
just be careful. Be careful.
thank you.
All right, all right. Um, guess what I've been studying?
What?
All right, I done got into this weird, because I do these weird deep dives, right? Into wait a minute. Before I go, Brother Rodney, everybody was able to kind of say how they felt about you as a mentor, and you and I have only known each other for a short time, but I do not want you to think I have trivialized at all your influence on how I think about things, what is potentially the grassroots work, because I've always felt like a grassroots activist. But it's not even 100% your military service, which I commend you for. Thank you so much. Is how you use it. You use it to create them situation rooms down there at the gathering, right? To me, the gathering is a situation room. And instead of you having pot, as your boy Sneaky Pete, your mama suck on her toes or something, something, something. He said,
Call
I
you trash. He
yeah.
so we finally got it. We not to cut you off, Rashi. Don't go on mute. We finally got it the other day. We had to repeat it like 5 different damn times. So he said in one of the interviews, his mother actually called him trash. So he calls him Leaky Pete. Your mama call you trash. That's what it was.
Yeah, okay. I'm sorry. How did I go to her sucking on her own toes, brother? Anyway,
Because you
uh,
go off the
because I
road
go,
often.
I'm not of this. Uh, keep it present. All right. What I wanted to tell you is that it's your grassroots work, baby. It's that gathering. It's the keeping open of black businesses. It's the neighborhood scroll. Well, I hope I'm able to retire again, because they better hope they work my ass to the bone in that classroom, because if I get a chance to retire, brother Rodney, I am finna emulate your lifestyle so closely. Other than living in that dry ass desert, i'm going to I'm going to gather with my peers. I'm going to mentor somebody. Somebody going to listen to me. I know it ain't my daughter, but somebody like you have with Lee. You understand? Somebody is going to pick a struggle. Pick a branch on the struggle. I see your branch. I see your branches. You occupy like three struggle or four struggle branches, and you weaving them together, braiding them together, including as many people as possible, and you're doing it on your own time, which is how it has to happen. If you allow your life to run quite, like people think it should, you'll run your ass to death. So I appreciate how you get down, brother Rodney, and I really, I know. If somebody come and give you that one medicine where they put it in the nose and make you tell the truth, they gonna get some shit. They gonna have some information that'll have everybody fired. Some of them potbelly generals will be gone. So, I just want to tell you how much I appreciate your service. Yes, I appreciate your fatherhood, because your kids, they know who their daddy is. You done you done took care of them. Now, for real, you done passed the legacy. You got Cause you on your what you on your fourth generation? Is you your no? Is somebody older than you alive?
Yep.
So is the person older than your son? Don't you have a son with a daughter? You got grandchildren.
My son has no children yet. He's not married yet.
But your daughter, don't you have a daughter with kids?
Twin,
Okay.
twin girls.
All right, so that's four, right? And the little girls is young, so
That's six. It's six of them.
okay. So you working your legacy and you fulfilling your part. You're not in jail. You didn't try to do no. It's because it's gaps in some of these legacies, right? From the missing father or the missing unc or unc that went out there and got off, as they say, he on that shit. So you ain't on that shit, bro. You ain't on that shit. You ain't in jail. You haven't. Everybody you killed was on a government sanction, and so it
Damn.
I don't play. It is what it is, and you got the partner for it. It is what it is. They said to do it, so you did. So it it makes me feel good to know. They be like, "Ain't no good motherfuckers out there." I be like, "No, no lies. There is some good brothers out there. I know at least one and a half of them." Now y'all defend, y'all decide which who gonna get. I know Rodney's a solid one,
I'm a
and y'all
half.
two, and
I'm
y'all two quarters get it. Then I'm at least a quarter of a good man, and so
Whew,
what
boy.
what we need to know is this: I appreciate your scholarship. I appreciate your community activist work, and when they get to seeing the power of that gathering, and how many of them, cause see, your power finna come in the vote. You a vote broker, man. You finna ask them white folks finna start swiping them ballots and circling them bubbles on them, and they gonna say to themselves, "Why in the world did Susie Q Parker vote a full Democrat damn ballot? This time when she been voting Republican with her husband. You know why? She found her way to the gathering. Her white friend brought her, or her husband died and her new piece is at the gathering. And when she got the information, Lee, her and her homegirls, when they eating their little cucumber and sandwiches, they turning votes. Rodney's a vote turner. And so when they
look
see
at him
that
crying
shit,
over there. Look at
when
him
they
crying
see
over there.
that shit, Rodney, they gonna get you something on that door. Cause when they figure out, oh, cause you already got, that's right. Please don't come for them, y'all. Y'all gonna have holes in you. Uh, when they see the power, brother Rodney, of what you finna do at that damn election ballot thing, I don't care how they do it. They can put it on paper. They can have her pushing the buttons. But them white ladies is finna come through for you, brother Rodney, cause they tired. They tired of motherfuckers talking to them like they the reason for the problem. And you give them what you say, Lee? Actionable,
Now that's what you say. I'm just copying off of you.
informative. You give them
Actionable information.
something.
There you go.
You give them something to do.
I
Something to
got that
do
from
that's
you, sis.
real. Something to do that's real. When they get in that room and they looking around and they see they not the only one tired of this shit, and they see Brother Barry in the room, they seeing Lee in the room. They ain't really see me because I was in there, and y'all just don't know. Y'all fucking my money up. So when they see all those people of like mindedness, they know they a part of They think they covert mission spies. So you gonna turn that vote. Look
All right,
at
so
that.
question. I'm gonna get in. Then I'm gonna let Thomas in so we can move on. You made a very good point. Um, he has done a lot of great work at the gathering with respect to bringing white folks into the gathering, and to his credit, to tell you how spot on you are. I have seen folks who have changed their entire ideology. Now, they haven't done a 360 because that means they're going back. They done 180 from where they were to where they are now. And to hear these folks and to engage with these folks, it's been a beautiful thing to see. To get folks. We spoke last week about family and how the premise of a nuclear family is destroying us. How we have moved away so much from our extended family, who was beneficial to the better upbringing of our children, led to more community, led to more solidarity. But for whatever reason, we've drank the Kool Aid, gotten to these micro families, and folks have moved all the way over here. Now you only see them once a year, if that. You may only see them for weddings and funerals, if that. You may only see them for some other special occasion, and that's really eroding at the family structure. The white folks said that went to gathering last week Friday. They specifically said that is true in their lives, and they're trying to figure out how to bring themselves closer to their children and their children's children. But it's been a little difficult. Um, Rodney later on posted something about what did you what was your post about, Rodney? Um, what did you post about? You made the video. What was the video about? It was about be appreciative of the people that you have, and when you went home after the gathering, what was it about? What was the title of it?
Well, it was showing gratitude.
Gratitude. Thank you. Gratitude. About gratitude. So, this was the premise of today's show, giving gratitude to you, sir. But I want you, Rodney. I'm sorry, you, Thomas. I saw you just type some stuff. Now that you're back, hopefully your mic is working. Say what you need to say so we can move on
No,
to the next subject.
I just typed it because sometimes we drag things on and it just be going too far. And I say it to my brother directly because I do salute him. He's changed my perspective on brothers who serve. And I'll say the nation owes you more than what we can pay you back. And that's just the truth. Because you touch so many people, and I know so many things that you do, and people don't reciprocate enough to you in the things that you do and how you setting folks up um, in many ways. I mean, brother, you could be easily somewhere on a beach somewhere talking about I'm tired, I'm exhausted, whatever they were saying when Trump got elected. You could have been saying that a long time ago, and yet you stick in it. And men like you often get overlooked, and people forget about you until they're in need. And then once you give them what they get, they forget about you. What they need, they forget about you all over again. And you know this story. We've had this conversation many times over, but I don't want to drag it out. I do want to tell you, man. I love you. I appreciate you. I know some people here have eaten because Rodney Smith has wanted them to eat, and that's just something that shows you how vast the reach is. And not many other people can state that, hey, they fed people elsewhere in places that they don't even reside in, and that's big, and that shows you what God put you on this planet to do.
He feed me all the time. Yeah, man. I eats good in the presence of Rodney Smith.
Hey man,
Because
Rodney, slow
because
down,
Rodney
Rodney, slow
Rodney talking
down.
about I can eat. Shit, he be right along with me. Now he might take it home, but he gonna be right along with. Let me taste that. Brother, what you talking about? That's good. Let's go try that. Let's go try that. Okay, let's go.
All right. So what
I
has
had a
Rodney been
whole
working on?
Tommy's burger in honor of Rodney right before I got on the plane. He told me, "You gonna eat that whole thing? We said ice cream." Yes, sir. Because I'm a grown ass man and I'm growing. I need fuel. I need fuel.
All right,
Rodney,
Lee.
I'm about to hop on a damn plane, fly 5 hours. I'll be starving when I hit the damn ground. Come on now.
Lee,
Yes, ma'am.
have you been paying attention to the Korean stock market?
No,
You haven't? How about
I
you,
know it
Barry?
took a bloodbath the other day when the tech stock
No.
fell out.
How about you, brother Rodney? Do you do stock exchange? Have you paid attention to the Korean stock market?
So my daughter was telling me about the Korean stock market.
Oh,
What you got?
there's about to be a ripple. They're asking. They're saying that what happened there is about to happen here, and that if you have securities and exchanges and whatever in the market, that you need to do a really good look and see how much of it is invested in computer chips, telecommunications, AI development, and stuff like that, because apparently there is no actual hardware to support all the software talk, and that people, and so it's going to become a extremely bad investment like real estate was in 2008. And so, brother Ronnie, please don't type. Just say it. Say it. And I'll stop talking. You can say it.
I was just going to say that let's not forget that there's going to be a chip shortage
Shortage. Yep.
because chips come from the straits. The chips need ships to bring them helium, and there most of the helium comes through the strait, and the strait is still closed, and there's a backlog of need for, and that's going to affect manufacturing. Well, it's going to affect pretty much almost everything, but it's definitely going to affect manufacturing and the products associated with it because no helium, no chips.
Wow, isn't that amazing how you think, oh, it's just two dudes fighting, but when they get through fighting, it halts actual innovation and development. But it's also halting more warfare because that's what. Not only do chips need ships, ships need chips. I know that sounds crazy, but you know what I'm talking about.
No, you're
And
right.
And
ships need fuel.
Yeah.
right. And they need secure telecommunications if they're going to be used for military operations. And so it's become even a matter of
And
who
just
is
regular
making.
shipping. I was just saying, and regular shipping operations. That's all I was saying.
So I was, deep diving on how the ricochet, right, brothers, the ricochet of how one group's decisions has effects throughout, international effects that we all don't see. We're not looking forward enough. We're doing a lot of hindsight. And so it's after a conflict that we realize, oh no, that was affected too. That was affected too. And so I really, really would like for us to delve more on when one seemingly small uh, uh, idea, has the ricochet of how many industries it's going to affect.
Well, let's also throw in the potential for a food shortage sometime after the fall, because fertilizer also comes through there, and you can have crops, but the yield on your crops are not the same. So there's a shortage. A lot of farmers, as a matter of fact, up in Brother Barry's territory, there's farmers losing their farm. So the production is potentially going to be down, and then the yield of what is produced potentially is going to be less. And because of supply and demand, that usually means prices are going to be higher. Also, because there's still a bunch of people with a lot of money. When there is a supply, it's a good possibility that those people with money will suck up that supply, so you'll still have a shortage. So the headwinds have not fully started yet for what we're about to be in. And let's face it, the war still isn't over, because the paper that talked about having a ceasefire, not the paper for the ceasefire, but the one talking about a ceasefire, has been broken, and they're attacking each other as we speak.
Yeah. So both the Iranians and the U.S. have exchanged attacks in the past few hours. The looks like Lebanon and the Israelis though are close to agreement on a ceasefire.
Mm.
I think, huh?
Well, I see that hmm, with them talking about annexing the Gaza Strip. I wonder almost with the Israelis how much of a ceasefire would that be even for Lebanon? I think the main thing that we should be aware of is that there is no such thing as a ceasefire under this administration. The other thing that we need to also recognize is that there is no accidents in what they're doing. And I'll say this again: this is a government that hates this country. And sooner that we wake up and we understand that, instead of keep acting like they're just, oh, this is just an ideology difference. Nope, it's not. They know what to do to cripple the country. This is what they're doing. This is what they want to do. As soon as Americans wake up and recognize that, the people will start loking up and we'll get them out of here. But until that moment, as long as we keep thinking it's just about a difference between vanilla and chocolate ice cream, we'll keep on watching.
Well, two, let's not allow ourselves to forget who is at the helm of our military right now. And anytime that this dude feels underappreciated, disrespected, he needs to bolster his his muscle, whatever. He strikes out. He lashes out like a fucking 3-year-old child. So even though the Navy is supposed to depart the Strait, they're taking their fucking time to do so because he wants to have some command and control operations readily available just in case he wants to strike. Marlon said, "Commander and thief." You're absolutely right. We all know what this is about. Uh, this is about grift at the highest level. We've talked about it a million and one times. This is also about a guy whom is not presidential, and I think he's still being stung by the opening of the Obama library. Well, not library. I keep saying library complex, presidential complex, and his way of lashing out or striking back is whatever he chooses to do in that moment. Unfortunately. And, going back to the comments that we made earlier about Leaky Pete, your mama call you trash headset. He ain't no damn better because he's the same way. Everything about these cats is an overindulgence because they're trying to project strength that they don't have. So, why not have the Secretary of War go out and make more war, especially when the president is unhappy? This makes him feel good. So, whatever, dog. It puts us at a very dangerous in a very dangerous spot. Our military stockpile is already low. It just makes it even worse. It's going to take a while for those munitions to come back. My question now is there a side deal with the Iranians? Is there a side deal with Russia to help our stockpiles be replenished? Is there a side deal with Qatar or somebody? Somebody's going to have to come in and help us replenish our weapons. Again, this is why I say Jared was pulled out because he made whatever side deals were. I don't know what they are. Just knowing the person, I know there was a side deal there, a side deal or two to be made, and they got their money. His ass rolled out, and they're hanging this whole thing around Vance's neck. I'm not opposed to that. I don't like Vance personally, uh, but they're clearing the way for Rubio to be cleaner going into the next presidential cycle. Now, is this one of those moves that could potentially uh, prop up the Republican chances because Rubio is Latino? Is this their plea to keep the Latino vote moving forward? Don't the tea leaves ain't clear enough for me yet. I will say this, in my opinion, if Westmore wins the gubernatorial race in the state of Maryland and gets reelected to a second term, he will almost automatically declare that he's going to run for president. I
Mm,
see it. I see it easily. Uh,
mm.
I see those tea leaves shaking out that way. He won a very very wide open race in the Democratic primary just the other day. It was not even close. The Republicans showed up and showed out, but nowhere near how many Democrats or how many folks voted Democratic in the state of Maryland on Tuesday. It seems like he will win a overwhelming majority of voters in the upcoming election in November. If he does, I believe May, June next year, he will pivot and declare that he will be running for president in the 2028 cycle.
So I like
I
Brother
am,
And,
West. I like Brother
uh,
West. I like Brother West.
right.
But the thing that I worry about, and this is what we're seeing here locally, is that there is a battle between the democratic socialists versus the progressives versus the moderates. And I say
That's
that
just
because,
yes.
I
I
mean,
just learned about this, Thomas. They call it the dirt bag left. Have you heard of that term before, Thomas?
no, I never heard of that term.
You never heard of dirt bag left? Okay, this is one of the things I was learning this week. There is a proportion they call it the loud, proud the Democrats that are not poised. They scream, they cuss, they go down. Come on, the dude with the afro, dirt bag left.
Nah.
Isaiah Martin, dirt bag left. Jasmine Crockett, dirt bag left. These are the
Uh,
so you
I
okay?
don't know
Wait,
no
so okay, so
calling
just
themselves
check out
dirtbag.
the term. Not now. It's
I mean,
not supposed to be a term
but
of.
this,
Okay, you got to look at it to see what I'm talking about.
but hear what I'm saying though. When we start giving their, this is I fight this on a day-to-day basis. I was just saying this to somebody on a call yesterday. We're the people that talk about here's our pronouns, but if somebody said they want to do polygamy, that's just too crazy for us to hear. Here's our pronouns, but hey, black folks want reparations, but we should never talk about reparations. At some point, we gotta pick a terminology right. Dirtbag, I don't even know if that's in our vernacular.
Well,
Uh,
no.
it's just,
So, but when you were discussing the levels of commitment for democratic
but this is what they
entanglement,
call it. This is what
and
people are calling themselves. Though they're calling themselves democratic. They're calling themselves democratic socialists. Then you have democratic progressives. Then you have moderates. Those are names that they're running by themselves, right? Isaiah Martin is more of what I would probably consider somewhere between that progressive, he's probably somewhere in that progressive socialist arc, if you will. I'm only bringing that up to y'all to say I'm trying to figure out what will it look like for that presidential candidate if it started becoming a bloodletting between the three factions. And that's the thing that I think, especially for our community, for the black community, when we're trying to say that, hey man, this administration has done so much to us during this short time, we really don't have time for the white people games. Like to come up with these new labels and to get the thumb wrestling with each other about these labels when we knowing that the country collectively need change. We just don't have the space and the ability. Neither does the rest of the world. Because as Lee brought up with Rubio, then if you got a bunch of infighting amongst you and you're killing the candidates amongst your ranks, it's easier for the other person to take the VCR out the back door. That's what I'm worried about.
I
Rodney
don't
said,
I
go
don't
ahead.
commend. Go ahead. I don't commend the name either, brother Barry. But I'm trying to explain a faction, a subculture of Democrats that exist within the overall umbrella of the Democrats. And there are some that say that because they are loud, because they are boisterous and bombastic, because they show up with their constituents and and they sit on the steps and they sleep on the steps because Cori Bush would be considered a a Democrat, a far a hard. This is what I don't know how to. This is just a term that. Go ahead, brother Rodney.
So just this is a new term for me. So I looked it up while you guys was talking, and this is John Fetterman. That's one of the people pushing this. There is a division in the Democratic Party, and what
He's
they're
going to
trying
become a Republican.
to do is what it seems like from what I gleaned is there's a faction of the Democratic Party that does not like those people considered far left or the Bernie Sanders wing of the party. This is something that we saw when Hillary Clinton was running against Bernie. What was that, back in 2018 or something like that? So this is not new, but because the DSA has candidates that won big in New York and in a couple of other places, and there's still some more races to be watched. Is these people are gaining support from the people, grassroots, because sure don't have the money, and the people are putting them in office above the establishment Democrats. And that's where the problem lies, is it is threatening the institution and the old guard. I wouldn't consider Jasmine Crockett a person that will fall into that category, but she could. But she was more of an institutionalist that spoke her mind, that they didn't want to hear what she had to say. So they basically put her in a position of to be quiet. The same thing for AOC to a certain extent, but she's figured out how to navigate it just a little better.
And the dude with
So
the afro, who the dude with the afro? Jeffrey? No, you don't know the
just
young dude. The young
from
dude.
Florida,
Out of
from
Tennessee.
Florida,
No, the guy out of Tennessee. He's talking about the guy out of Tennessee, the young brother who always gives.
Jones?
Jones, is it Jones? I don't
That's
know
one
his
of them.
name, but I know what I know. Is he got an afro and he be screaming at people to about sit down. And I know he's Democrat. So I'm saying this is a group of politicians who I do believe are taking a hand out of my brother Al Green. And they saying, hey, you know what? Al Green doing the soft shoe. Black people are not apes. Just to get the agenda down,
Isaiah
pat.
Martin. His name is Isaiah Martin. So,
No, 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 no. I'm talking about the young dude with the big old afro. I
Justin
know who
Jones
I.
from Tennessee. Marlon chimed in.
Justin,
Justin
Justin,
Jones from
Justin,
Tennessee.
Justin Jones, the brother. Okay,
oh,
so you understand that
so let me,
there's this faction that don't want to be quiet no more, and they're
but yeah,
using the.
but if we call them
So,
dirtbags, that's a whole dirty, hairy term towards black criminals. Dirtbag. When you say somebody a dirtbag, you name three black elected officials, right?
So what panel do you put them? You put them in under socialist? If you put, are you putting them on Democratic socialist? Or you putting it on Democratic? What was? Oh, sorry, I'm sorry, I didn't write it. I'm sorry, teacher Barry, I forgot to do the three.
So I would say that those groups, I couldn't tell you because they may operate like most black folks and be like, we don't know what them labels are. This is just how we feel and how we believe. A lot of this is certain people. I know we do have an elected official here who's black who goes by a democratic socialist in our city council, but I haven't ran across too many black elected officials who've ran with that label. And look, once again, those are just labels. The thing that I worry about, because we're talking about the next presidential election, whether it's Westmore or it's anyone else, I would hate for West to get in and you have this battle royal amongst the party, and West has a great chance to become president. And because of these, man, listen, it just doesn't make sense to me. I'm still trying to, I got a little bit of cognitive dissonance going on here. I'm trying to figure out, progressive was a fairly new term, and now we
true
on to
that.
socialists. And so,
Now we on a dirtbag. Like, where did that come from?
Yeah,
right.
but let's not confuse Democratic Socialist, DSA, with socialism,
No, no,
because
no, no. I'm not confused. Listen, brother, I'm not confusing it with it. What I'm saying is they come up with labels faster than what we are able to actually process. And I feel like the label sometimes is only used to be divisive. It's not in inclusivity when you think they got a chance to run it up. Like run up the score and do all that other stuff behind the scenes. We don't need to see all that. Let's just run up the
so the
score.
So,
dirtbag term is something that people like Fetterman is using. And like Lee says, he suspects he's an undercover Republican. That
oh, so he's up for re-election in 2028. So he can cause all this dirt, kick up all kinds of dust, and have an opportunity for things to settle before he's up for re-election again. Because he serves until 2029. He didn't get elected to 2023, so he's definitely going to become a damn Republican if he runs
I
again.
mean, have you
But
seen his health? He might not even make it. He was looking
that's why I
pretty
said
bad.
I want to get into a couple more things before we close out the show. We got 15 minutes. Um, Rodney put a couple things in the chat which are spot on. Thomas, you're going to love the first one. So the Epstein files are getting closer and closer to be fully released and unredacted. Judge ordered the DOJ to release them in full without redaction and or prove why they cannot be released in full without redaction. I really don't think there's a precedent that they can stand on to release them without redaction So I think they will be released in full in the very near future, to be honest with you. However, we are dealing with an administration who will buck anything and everything. And this will definitely be an emergency injunction to the Supreme Court if they are found to not have a strong enough case. I don't know where it's going to go there. I just don't know with this damn court. These cats are all over the damn place, you know. I'm not 100% sure where that's going to go. The most important thing though that I'm concerned with is the post office, and the post office has been ordered, if you will, to fuck with the election. There's
Mm,
no other way of saying that, to be honest with you.
mm,
So the Republicans are obviously trying to get them to not focus, allow, push through, whatever you want to call it, mail-in ballots. Even though Trump votes by mail, that's amazing to me because he votes in the state of Florida, and his ass ain't in Florida to vote all the time, so he votes by mail-in ballot.
mm, mm.
I am very much concerned about that because to this day, voting places, especially with all this redistricting bullshit going on, are not always in close proximity to constituents. Not only that, in addition to all this other crap that's going on, hours are being changed, which is very confusing to our older citizens and our younger citizens who, if this is their first or second, well, second time, third time voting, they're going to go to where they were used to voting, not this new damn place. Hell, most of them don't pay attention to the moment right now. How the hell they going to pay attention to the movement later? Let's be real. So this, I've said it before. I'll say it again. This is a pivotal election. This is probably the most pivotal election we have ever had, for real, because a referendum needs to be made on this current administration regime, whatever the hell you want to call them, and it needs to be loud. It needs to be bold. It needs to be harsh. They need to know that they work for the American people. The question is, will the American people come out and show them who they vote for, who is holding them to account?
The American people have to be consistent, though.
Yes.
And the consistency has to be if we gave the Republicans the House, the Senate, the White House, and the Supreme Court, we have to give the Democrats at least 8 years to see what they can reverse. And the reason why I say that is because the truth is to say that it has to be balanced when you see one party who is siding with foreign governments that hate this country, it's unacceptable. And until that Supreme Court is gutted out and changed, until we change some constitutional things, we need to put in some term limits. And until we get rid of Citizens United to take the money out of politics, to make it illegal for foreign lobbyists to be able to impact our politics, we're just not going to get anywhere. And that has to be a true conversation that the American people are having. And one last point, our community here, I was telling Brother Rodney this yesterday, we're dealing with a lot of stuff that's going on. And one of the things that I found out was that the reason why they allow the Somali community to get away with so much is because they vote. Like they're a voting block, and nobody wants to go against that voting block because they show up. They vote early, and they're going to go to the polls and vote. They have a voting block. We do not have a voting block, and I'm pretty sure that's probably the same in Vegas. It's probably the same in Kansas. It's probably the same inside of Atlanta. And until Black folks decide that the vote does matter, because it's going to take brothers to go out there and vote. We need Black men to vote, not just talk trash, not just complain about stuff. We need folks to vote, know who you're voting for, and stop taking this stuff as a joke. Like, we have to get serious about this because, man, listen, democracy is on the table, and right now it is in surgery, and it may not make it another 4 heartbeats.
Say that again. I didn't have much else. I wanted to talk about Clive Davis because there's been a lot of dust up about his death, and it's interesting to me because actually before he passed, I was thinking about Luther, and I've always felt that the song that Luther did with Beyonce was more coerced than not. I want to say a week or so later he passed away. Some of the things that I know about him throughout the years, that's not true. Some of the things I've heard about him throughout the years where people have always been upset with him because of his handling of Whitney Houston and her addiction. They have expressed that they thought he could have stepped in and did more for her, but he allowed her to be and go down that road because it allowed him to control her more. Uh, be that as it may, I don't know. I wasn't there. I heard some audio recently of a Phyllis Hyman interview where she accused him of ruining her, trying to ruin her career. I know that he and Alicia Keys didn't get along as well toward the end. Uh, there's a number of run-ins that he's had with prominent folks throughout the years. There was some great music that he had his hand on. I will never disrespect that. Knowing him as a person, though, don't know, so I can't comment on that. All I know is what's in the public sphere from others who were close to NDRE. I'm sorry, take that back. It wasn't. It wasn't. Let me correct myself. It wasn't um, Alicia Keys. It was NDRE. They had a spat going on. Uh, take that back. It wasn't Alicia. It wasn't Alicia. NDRE. Thank you. NDRE made her comments, and others have made their comments. Again, he made some great music. He had his hands on, and that's all I can say on that one.
You know,
Uh,
and we gonna get tired of venerating people who are puppeteers, and then we got somebody else we could big up right now. We talking about old Dusty. Mr. Clive or whatever. But we got a library burned down. You know, of
uh,
information has burned down in our loss of the brother Tony Brown. Brother
correct.
Tony Brown. So if I had to burn, my voice, it wouldn't be for Clive. It'd be for Tony Brown because Tony, you could see him pushing against the journalistic narrative. He would be the person as a brother in journalism that we should see, that we should be championed and and big up. And Clive was a Ashkenazi parasite. But what we dealing with here in brother Brown is a brother who got to sit in front of that camera and and I hate to say it for the times that he was on, humanize, uh, big up. He was a force in our life, and he interviewed people that other people said were insidious and should not get any airtime. And Tony Brown still put his journalistic licensure on the line and put them in front of the camera and asked them the same kind of they asked him some of them Walter Concrete level of questions. He did
Right,
not. He's not a fluff journalist. He was not about pretending that there was no black struggle. He understood that black journalism had its place and had to be big up. And so him and Gil Noble and other journalists, of our pre- predecessors of journalism, they deserve their big up. So if you have not, listeners and watchers, heard of Tony Brown, please just go to YouTube because that's the beauty of the internet. If there was anything, you can type in Tony Brown's journal on the internet, and some kind soul has gotten a hold of old videotapes or old something, and they have chronicled those and put them on the internet so that we could understand the mindset of the people who were going through the almost the exact same damn struggle we doing now. Thank you. Yes, I'll wrap it up. Thank you, Lee, for that. And so, uh, while I do feel bad for the Davis family. I've been feeling bad for them since long before his death. I feel bad with the fact that they had to live with the fact that all their money comes from a slightly insidious well of exploitation. However, our brother Tony Brown, he was a whistle blowing he was what they call a Gabriel, because when he blew his horn, we had more information. All right.
Gotcha. We have 4 minutes left in the show. Thomas, what you got?
Oh, nothing, man. Hey, salute to Rodney once again, man, and I hope everybody's doing well out there. That's what I got.
That's what's up. I'm gonna go next, and I'm gonna let Rodney close it out. So again, thank you all for joining. Those watching now, watching or listening later, please follow us on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, wherever you get your podcast. That's where we are. Appreciate you as always. We love you. Ain't a damn thing you can do about it. Go ahead, Rodney. What you got? Close us out.
As we express our gratitude, we must never forget that the highest appreciation is not the utter word, but to live by them. Quote from John Kennedy.
Ain't much better you can do with that. Look, family. One more rest in peace there. Alan Greenspan passed away also this week. Former federal chair. We need to big up on him. He saw this country through some turbulent times, but we're still standing. Y'all, please be good. Please be safe. You all take care of one another. Enjoy your weekend as we slide into next week of the 4th of July and America's 250th anniversary. Until then, family, peace.
I'm worried about that